it doesn't have to look the same way as everybody else because I'm supposed to meet my own expectations, not someone else's expectations. So if I set my expectations as high as I can, then that's what I'm working towards. And I have the strength already. I don't have to go find it somewhere. I don't need someone else to give it to me. I just need to find the resources. I need to find the drive. And as long as you have whatever lights that fire inside you, then you can just go for it. Not what's the worst that can happen, but what's the best that can happen.
Welcome to the UMGC podcast, Unstoppable Stories, with your host, Nathan James.
Hello, everyone. Yep, it's Nathan, and I'm glad. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad to have you here. I'm here with Amanda Clark, who is a UMGC graduate and a strong mental health advocate. Amanda, thank you for being on with us today.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what it was like for you growing up, and also maybe a little bit about how you saw potentially going to college growing up.
Growing up, my childhood was a little chaotic. My parents didn't really get along. I lived in a very wealthy area, but our family was not that wealthy. So my parents tried to keep everything together to keep us in like good school systems, things like that. But growing up, it was just a very um, elementary, middle school time frame. I was just trying to find ways that I could really occupy my mind and kind of stay out of the middle of what was going on at home. And then high school, I just kind of decided that, I could go find attention elsewhere. So dealing with my struggles, I just kind of ended up taking a little bit of a difficult path from there. But it wasn't easy. I going to school with a lot of kids that got cars and cell phones as soon as they came out, and my family struggled a little bit more with that. And then I was also still in school when my parents divorced, and my mom had to navigate trying to keep us in that county. So that was also difficult too.
Wow. Wow. Now, uh, I can only imagine what it took to be able to focus, right, the way that you needed to. And yet you were still motivated, right, even to move forward with your education. Was that something you felt like you were being told to do, or was it more of an internal voice that said, you've got to do this?
I didn't have that motivation when I was a teenager. So I think through the end of middle school and maybe the first year of high school or so, I was still doing a great job, keeping up with everything, trying to be the good kid, I guess. And then I kind of felt like I was in the background and wasn't really like a part of what was going on at home, whether it was good or bad. So I kind of decided just to forget about school and go hang out with people who could stay out at night and get into trouble and that sort of thing. I actually don't remember having any conversation with either of my parents when I was in high school about college. It just wasn't something we talked about. I didn't take the SATs. I didn't apply to any colleges. And then I actually ended up dropping out of high school a month or two before my high school graduation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so close. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so you almost get to that finish line and you end up dropping out. In your mind at that time, did you have like your dream job or an idea of how you saw your life playing out long term at that time?
So initially, I wanted to be a teacher, and I loved mathematics. So I wanted to be a math teacher for elementary school. But once I stopped really focusing and putting all my motivation into school, then I kind of got that mentality that some teenagers get where you know everything and you don't need anyone to tell you what to do. So that's pretty much what led me to like when I turn 18, I can sign myself out of school and then I'll be on my own. I can make my own rules and do my own stuff. Thinking I knew everything, it was pretty much immediately after I turned 18 that against everyone's advice, I signed myself out of high school, and then I think I actually ended up a week or 2 later being arrested, when I was in trouble, and a few weeks after that, I actually found out I was pregnant, with my first child. So,
Wow, so back to back,
that
yeah.
was a very pivotal moment, for my life, and probably where my motivation started, to do better and be better.
That sounds like a wake-up call, almost a double wake-up call. Go into that more, please. Like, how did that serve as a wake-up call for you? What was it that was the turning point in your mind where you said, "Okay, I gotta get this together"?
Oh, wow. I think growing up, I struggled so much with, my confidence and my self-esteem and really, like, caring about myself and having that motivation for me as an individual. That all changes, once you find out you're gonna be a parent, and all of a sudden, I had just quit school. I had just gotten arrested, um, and then I find out I'm pregnant, and I'm like, "This cannot be the kind of parent I am for my child. Like, I have to be better. I have to, break this cycle of just leaning on what's going wrong in my life and using that as a reason to not, succeed." So while I was pregnant, I signed up to get my GED and have for 20 years told the story that I was 9 months pregnant and walked in to take the second half of my GED test. And the instructor said, "How far along are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm going into the hospital today to have my baby. Don't worry, my mom said if my water breaks, I can still finish my test." And his face was priceless. So that was really um, life-changing to be I was 17 at the time when I found out I was pregnant. I was 18 when I had my son. I had my son in November of 2004, and then, 2 months after that, his father passed away suddenly. So, not only was I a new teen mom, um, I was also kind of thrust into single parenthood, at 18. So
That's a lot, to wrap the mind around, um, dealing with loss, um, as you're raising your child as a single parent at this point, correct?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. With all of that happening, at what point did you decide, "Okay, I'm gonna really go to school, right? And I'm gonna take these steps towards whatever your career goals were at that time."
So at that time, after my son's father had passed away, and I had my GED, that's when I had the thought process that I would love to pursue teaching, but teaching wouldn't really allow me to take care of my child as a single parent financially. So I had to set that aside. And that's when I enrolled shortly after it, because it was still when he was younger. I enrolled to do my associates in accounting. So that way I could try to get into some sort of field where I would be able to provide for him financially. Because being that his father was so young, um, not getting into too much detail, but with Social Security benefits, you get out kind of what you pay in. And people who are 20 years old aren't really thinking, if I have a child and I pass away, are they taken care of? So there weren't a lot of benefits to help with an infant. And being so young myself, I needed to find kind of the trick to go get into the workforce, make money so I could provide for him and, give him a better opportunity and better life than I had.
Yeah, so that's a balancing act. So you're going to school. What was that like, going to school while raising your child as a single parent?
That was pretty hectic. At the time, I was also in a relationship, where my, significant other had a child that was the same age as my son, which was really helpful in a way because it was like instant twins, and I got to focus a lot on what being a mom was like and to learn that I loved it, as much as I was judged for being a younger mom. It just really fueled me to work harder to prove everybody wrong. And it was more of a like mom during the day, put the kids to sleep and get online to do schoolwork. And that's the same way it was with my bachelor's that I just finished in 2023. So COVID shut everything down. My calendar was empty. I needed something to stay busy. So I was like, hey, let's go back to school. So then, with, 3 kids and then 4 kids, whole bunch of dogs at home, working full time, a lot of late nights hiding in the upstairs bedroom trying to finish my school assignments for that. But then I was able to finish up actually within a month or two of when my son graduated high school and got ready to go to college himself. So that was a huge moment for me.
How about that? Look at the timing. Okay. At one point, you were taking classes while driving cross country during COVID? True story, yes?
Yes, true story. Yes, I did UMGC classes from a yurt in the Arizona desert, listening to like coyotes yell in the background. um, I always
That's
wanted to
great.
go on a cross country road trip. And my boyfriend at the time entertained the idea when COVID shut everything down. I said, we can't be cooped up in the house. The kids can do, learning on the road. Um, we're not really allowed to go anywhere else. We'll be kind of on our own. So we packed up 2 of the kids, all their schoolwork, and the 2 of us grown-ups, and we drove almost all the way across the mid US. We went out to Utah and then came up north. We were gone 2 weeks. We were in the car over 100 hours. I think we went over 6,000 miles. And somehow I was able to do coding classes along the way, which, if you ask me how, I have no idea.
Yeah, superhero. You're a superhero. I can
But
see the
I
cape
I
already.
specifically remember, like, asking my son, "Can you help me with this coding? I don't understand it." And, like, that's his thing, and I don't know, we were somewhere in Missouri or something along the way. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was quite challenging because I have never experienced the time changes like that. So turning in assignments, I had to be really careful about what time my assignments were due, where I was going to be, when I was going to have Wi-Fi, if it was going to stay, hooked up to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, that's an unpredictable study environment. I mean, a very exciting studying environment. Oh, wow. I mean, talk about studying. What an adventure that all is to handle at one time. So, okay. And I also like that, you could almost involve your family in the education journey for as well, right? Like your son being able to have this expertise in IT and giving you tips along the way. That sounds like that was something that could even bring the family even together. Do you feel like even going to school had that effect on your family, them being able to see you go to school, maybe being inspired by that?
Since I became a parent, starting with my son and then continuing with my daughters, I really wanted to make sure that the narrative for school was something that we always talked about. For me, it was important, not to say you have to do this, but just to have that encouragement and the support. Like, you already have all of the strengths in you to do what you want to do. You just have to like believe in yourself and then go. It's your desire for success has to be greater than your fear of failure. And that's really the drive that got me to where I am today. And having my kids, I mean, now I work with a government contractor, and we have opportunities at the place where I work where we can, expose the kids to a take your child to work day, or there's a family day where they can see all the capabilities that we have, around the world, but through where I work. And having that tool and then being able to show them that it's not too late to go achieve something new. And going to school was always something that I felt was really important to me. I just kept convincing myself that, I didn't take that opportunity to graduate high school and go straight to college. I've never lived in a dorm room. So sending my son to college in a dorm, I had to like ask people, like, do I buy curtains? Do I like what do I do? Um, but also showing them that like it doesn't have to look the same way as everybody else because I'm I'm supposed to meet my own expectations, not someone else's expectations. So if I set my expectations as high as I can, then that's what I'm working towards, and I have the strength already. I don't have to go find it somewhere. I don't need someone else to give it to me. I just need to find the resources. I need to find the drive, and as long as you have whatever lights that fire inside you, then you can just go for it. Like not what's the worst that can happen, but what's the best that can happen. So, it in 2023, I had, of course, my 2 oldest were graduating high school. I graduated. I forced myself to do the grad walk, even though I am a closet introvert. I did
Yay, thank
I did not wanna go walk in front of people on
Yeah.
camera, have them announce my name. Everything about that is something that, like, makes my stomach churn. But my kids know that I'm like that, and I was like, "You know what? What if I can show them? What if I can show them that I can do it even though they know that it is so out of my comfort zone?" But where are you gonna build your strength from? Where are you gonna get new opportunities if you aren't willing to push a little bit outside of your comfort zone? You know, you have to have faith in that for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing modeling, right? Because like you said, they knew, oh, even going to a place where the spotlight was gonna be on you when you're crossing the stage. "Oh my goodness, look at mom.
Yes.
She's loving this," right? But they get to see you pushing your comfort zone, and of course, they get to follow in your footsteps. Okay,
Yeah, and I
okay.
I made it worse on myself. I gave my son the stole of gratitude. Um, and I wrote something on it, and of course, he said something to the effect of, "Why are you making yourself cry even more?" And, I've told him, I said, you were a pivotal moment in my life, like, my motivation for being successful as a mom, as an individual, even working on myself through a lot of the struggles with loss, with abuse, with mental health, with assault, like, any of those things that I've been through in the past, I could very easily say, "Hey, this happened to me, I have a rough time. I can't do more." Or I can say, "Hey, this happened to me. I can share my story, hopefully inspire others because if somebody in the position I was in when I was young can hear that you can do it no matter what has happened in the past, then that makes it worth going outside the comfort zone and sharing the story."
Okay. Now, you are a strong mental health advocate, right? So, following those lines, I know, as you've, I think, alluded to, you've had serious challenges happen where, out of that, and you've been open about this, you've had to wrestle with PTSD. As candidly as you're, able and willing, let's explore what led to that PSD and what led to those challenges and how you overcame.
Sure. So high school was really difficult for me in terms of, like, having friends and finding people, that could really support me, and like I said, I wasn't really leaning on myself, I was leaning on other people for that. But in that kind of, getting lost, looking for, attention and those kinds of things, I dated a few people that, didn't treat me very well, and the year before I left, I believe, I experienced an assault with people I knew. So having that happen and then getting pregnant within the next year or so, with my boyfriend at the time, and then losing him, I looked for therapy, mental health therapy, and I've talked with quite a few therapists over my years, but that's really where we first started talking about, anxiety, PTSD, all kinds of things that I was experiencing symptoms of. And I kind of grew up where, if you sought mental health help or you talk to a therapist, then are you crazy? Like if you take medication, are you crazy? No, I am a firm believer now, and I will say it to no end that I think everybody could benefit from a therapist. And I never want to stop talking to my therapist. He's a gem. But over the years, with the mention of PTSD and some of those symptoms led into an anxiety disorder, where I was having panic attacks. I was in the hospital all the time thinking I was going to die, and very scary, very terrifying in the moment. But having the fears that I had, and just kind of compiling that with no way to manage it was really difficult. So through the help of therapist, I took some medications at one point to kind of help me just calm down and learn more. I had a doctor that told me if you learn more about what you're experiencing and what you're afraid of, then it'll help you kind of overcome it. And, I sitting there thinking, I don't want to know more about what scares me. I want to know less about it because I want to be less scared. But in learning more about what scared me, being introverted, not liking public speaking, not liking to fly, I was afraid of storms. So I had a really difficult time controlling myself so I didn't scare my children if there was a storm outside. That doctor knew what she was talking about because the more I researched storms and flying, and the more I started stepping outside of the comfort zone for speaking in front of others, sharing my story, really owning my whole story is what motivates me to push myself to do things like this and share, because I want to own every piece of my story. I don't want to hide the things that people judge. And I've been there. I've been badly, badly judged, comments, all kinds of stuff for things in my life. And I feel so empowered at a point where I can say, I own it all. Like, this is part of who I am. And if someone judges that, that's on them. That has nothing to do with me. I've built my success, maybe taking the most difficult paths at some points in life. But I've built my success and kept my motivation through it. And it's gotten me to where I am now.
You went into therapy and you pursued these methods when it wasn't really popular to do so. There was a stigma against that type of care. I was curious as to, did anyone encourage you to do that? I mean, you're going uphill to do that, right? So what did it take for you to actually pursue that care in the first place while basically going upstream?
I think it was a lot of really, I worked with a number of therapists, and it's really important to find the right fit for you, because it's not just like a therapist is a therapist is the therapist. You have to have somebody that will truly listen and guide you and give you what you need to work on yourself as an individual, and really give you the space to speak up and say, like, hey, I'm not okay with this yet, or I don't want to talk about this yet. Or, would you like to insert some faith into your therapy? Sure, I would. Or, hey, today I'm not really on good terms with God, so I don't really want to talk about it today. And never feeling judged. It's important to talk with somebody who never makes you feel judged for anything you're saying. I mean, the current person that I speak with is one of the people that I have told the most details about some of the worst times of my life. And I felt so much better afterwards, and was completely surprised, because a lot of it is I don't want to relive these terrible moments. Like, I don't want to talk about the details of these things that traumatize me. But talking about them with someone that you're safe with, completely safe with, is so important. And especially working in, an industry now where, people are getting security clearances. And there are a lot of people who will not pursue jobs where clearances are required because they don't want to have to divulge mental health issues, or because they feel like they won't be selected or they won't get a clearance with mental health issues. And that's also like something that people think that's not necessarily true. There are so many ways that, the government and people sponsoring clearances um, will listen and understand and take things into consideration for mental health. You just have to be willing to share. And sometimes that's hard, but sometimes sharing is what gets you further.
On your journey, right? Through these challenges and through getting your education, right? And you're working at the same time, raising your kids, um, figuring out, okay, what's the next step going to look like, career wise. I want to look at that just a little bit because one, as far as your dreams, you had thought of being a teacher eventually, early on, and then your priority becomes making sure you're raising a family the way that you want to. So you choose accounting, right? And ultimately, I was curious as to what did you end up finishing your bachelor's degree with, for example, and where has that led you now as far as what you do for your career?
So I do security work, and my bachelor's was cybersecurity management and policy. So I really wanted to touch on the management and policy portions of it because I was looking into moving into a leadership role. Ask me 5 years ago, I would have told you that I'm never going to be a manager. I'm never going to supervise anyone. Then add in a difficult supervisor, and I got that motivation. I finished up my degree in 2023, the beginning of 2023. And then the beginning of 2024, I was actually offered a leadership. It was a temporary leadership role, but it was a 6-month leadership role within my organization. And that really gave me, I feel like that built right off of, finishing up this degree. And I could just put some of that knowledge directly to use in terms of my job. Now, getting a taste of that leadership for 6 months, now I have that new fire inside that's like, "Okay, how can I continue? How can I keep this momentum going?" Because that's what it's about, right? You keep the momentum going, you find what lights your fire, and you just go with it because every individual deserves that. No matter who they are, where they came from, what they experienced, you can turn your life around at any moment. It's not fair to judge other people when you don't know everything that they've been through. But having my journey with UMGC and finishing up my degree when my older two were graduating was just incredible. Will it stop there? Probably not. My kids joke because of the difference in ages. I have a middle schooler and I have a preschooler. So my kids have all joked that I finished my bachelor's by the time the oldest two graduated high school. Now I can finish my master's by the time the middle schooler graduates. And then I can finish my PhD by the time the 3-year-old graduates. And then they're gonna call me Dr. Mom. So,
Okay, Dr.
yes,
Mom.
Dr. Mom. But I mean, even the fact that we have that conversation, like, it's with my kids and sitting around talking about that and joking about, "Hey, mom, what are you gonna do next? Hey, mom, have you enrolled again?" It's inspiring that they are just not only comfortable talking about that, but also inspired by what I've done and what I've shown them I can do. Because now being the mom of, 2 kids that are in college, and then I've already talked about college with my middle schooler. My 3-year-old talks about her oldest 2 siblings being in college. So,
That is
it's
so cute.
something that my kids are growing up with, being a normal narrative to talk about college, and I've shown them that it doesn't necessarily have to be on campus in a dorm room. It can be at, 11:30 at night trying to get an assignment in by 11:59 for UMGC and pumping myself with coffees and chai lattes.
Hey, I like a chai latte, all right? A
It
lot of
got me
chai
through
latte
some
hits
of
the
those
spot.
assignments. I was
Uh
11:58. I was like, "All right, I'm posting," and then, ooh, time for bed and get up and rinse, repeat, right?
Okay, so I might have to start calling you Dr. Mom, the future Dr. Mom here. Now, Dr. Mom, a question for you. Like you talked about leadership, right? I want to focus on that,
Mhm.
right? Because you've learned some valuable leadership lessons even with right after graduating. Um, First of all, I just want to comment how great it is that you've led by example your kids, right? Creating this culture of continuous learning and pushing your comfort zone. Um, can you talk to us about what you've learned about on your journey of leadership, having been someone where that wasn't a comfort zone for you, right? Leadership wasn't a comfort zone for you, but here you are pushing through and becoming an impactful leader. Uh, what's that journey been like for you, especially for folks listening who can relate and are nervous to take that step themselves?
I think, what's important to me is, like I mentioned before, learning that you have everything already within you. You just have to find that fire and what motivates you and run with it. I didn't believe in myself for the longest time. And then experiencing some poor leadership years ago is really what inspired me to be better for a team and to make sure that anyone who's on my team working under my leadership or within my leadership, I don't want them to feel the way I felt ever. It's almost like when I was younger, if I had someone that shared, that paid attention, that listened, that supported me, all of those things are important for success. Even success as an individual can grow in a team setting. So even in my leadership role, trying out leadership after I was offered some leadership training through work, it was really important to me to make improvements for the team as well as myself. Because regardless of whether I stay in a role where I'm leading others, I want them to feel supported. I want them to learn to lean on each other. I want different personalities to learn to work together because you go to school when you're young and you think the drama and all that stuff is just a young school thing, and then you grow up, you get older and you realize, "Hey, it's still here." And being a leader on a team, for me, it's important to lead from within. Like, I want my whole team to succeed. I want to succeed with them. I don't want to lead from above. I don't want anybody to feel left out or unheard. And if you ask anyone that knows me, I will sing the praises that communication is one of the key things you need for success. So, working on communication, being an over communicator rather than being an under communicator is going to be so important. It's going to be like life changing. And the worst part, which ends up being the best part, is talking about the things that are uncomfortable. If you have a problem, you need to speak up for yourself and for everybody else because not speaking up just lets it continue and nothing changes if nothing changes. So, that's really I struggled with speaking up for myself mostly because of my lack of confidence, my self-esteem, and really being that introvert that would just convince myself like, "No, I don't wanna do it. I don't want people to look at me. I don't wanna talk in front of people. What if I say something wrong? What if they judge me?" And then you create that narrative that's just, like, not true. And most of the time, what you're telling yourself, especially with anxiety, you tell yourself something that's not true so you can keep yourself safe. But if you push yourself a little bit outside of that, yeah, it might be uncomfortable, but you also get so empowered like when you do succeed. It's like I said, what's the best that can happen? So, what's the best that can happen if you push yourself outside of your comfort zone? You can succeed. You can find more things that motivate you, that really get you going, and you can inspire others. because like I mentioned before, if one person can hear my story and believe in themselves just a little bit more and have that faith, then they can do anything they want to do.
So well said. So well said. Amanda, thank you for being on with us, even pushing your own comfort zone, I'm sure, to some degree to to be on this podcast. Next thing you know, you're going to be speaking in front of thousands of people.
Ah,
Who knows? Who knows what the next stage
my
is?
son already joked with me this morning he's going to have a college watch party. I said, please don't do that. But I mean, hey, if that one person that needs to hear it is there, then I'm glad I did it. So
That's well, shout out to your son, and your family. But thank you again. Thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it so much. And to our audience, right? Everybody watching, everyone listening, best wishes to you. Really hope that you enjoyed and took something from this. And please remember to like and subscribe for more unstoppable stories that are already on the way. Thanks, everybody.